picture of him hugging Woody. That's a cute one. Mm-hmm.
He definitely had a heart of gold. He loved puppies, but he also had no tolerance for kids who bragged. He didn't like bullies.
Should never put him down. Mallory's measuring him. See how tall he was. When they were younger, they were pretty good friends. They played together. They got along well. They kind of had to learn things together. When Mallory got her training wheels off, so did Jason. So he had to learn quickly. As they got older, they kind of went their separate ways, as most teenagers do. But they always had respect for one another, regardless. They knew that they would be there for each other when push came to shove, and they would stick up for each other when push came to shove. That looks more like it.
Basically what I say to my friends who didn't know Jason is he was a sarcastic son of a bitch with the biggest heart I've ever met.
It was just like this witty, dry humor that he had, and he brought it with him wherever he would go.
If you were around Jason and didn't know him, you might get the wrong impression of Jason. He'd like to put on a hard exterior.
If you knew him, and he knew you well, he was going to be such a... I'm going to keep this PG. He was very rude, not nice.
But once you got to know him, it was like the guy would do anything for you. He was, the best friend you could ask for.
He was an athlete. He was a musician. He was a creative thinker. He was stubborn as all hell.
He was always like mysterious. Like he never wanted you to truly know how he was feeling about any type of situation. So he would always keep you on your toes.
He would always tell me to stop being a sissy and start playing like a man and things like that, which was always fun.
He'd stick you in the back with a little joke here and there, and he'd do that kind of stuff. But he was really a genuine kid who would go out of his way to help you out.
I'm the Yardstick Ninja, and I am part of the Resistance.
He used to come up the hall every day, and he had my class later on in the day. Well, one day he came up and said, "Good morning, Mr. Carthus. My pants are on backwards," and they just kept walking. And I was like, hold on. I said, "Jason, come on back." I said, "What?" I said, "Your pants are on backwards?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, why?" He goes, "Well, because I put them on this way."
Who said that?
Sixth grade.
Was it?
Sixth grade, you were walking up the...
Oh yeah, it's just like walking into the class. Hey, Mr. Carthus, my pants are on backwards. What?
What?
What practicing?
I said, "Oh, okay, but when did you realize that?" He goes, "I don't know, a couple hours ago." So of course I asked, "Well, why? Why are they still on like that then?" He goes, "They're comfortable that way." I said, "All right, fair enough. See you later." And that was that. But I mean, that was just kind of, happy-go-lucky Jason.
I said no to him twice in his life. One was to bagpipes, and the other when he wanted to play ice hockey. So as soon as we said no to the bagpipes, he looked at it and said, "All right, how about the violin?" Like, sure. So he took 3 months of violin lessons, and that turned into, yeah, I want to play the guitar.
You would just kind of go upstairs and just play. And you'd always hear, "Jason, are you doing homework?" "Yes, I'm not playing guitar." "Mm-hmm."
He did take lessons to learn the basics, but then he just sat in this room here and looked at a little 2-inch screen and learned how to play guitar.
That was the only time I performed at the Coffee Factory with Jason. We played Hey There Delilah, and I think Jason, like that afternoon, had asked me to do it.
You could tell they were both really nervous. It was honestly not great, but then I think that probably is when he started getting really into it.
It was a pretty rough start, but it only went up from there. The Coffee Factory in Derry used to hold those open mic nights.
He was one of the people who were regulars. There were like a certain group of people that were always there.
He became one of the favorites. Not, he wasn't the best or anything. It wasn't like people went there to see him, but people liked his vibe and his group of friends.
He would pick the songs that he wanted to do, so it wasn't like a choral song or like a song that we were doing in a show. Like it was just like what he was into.
Just for a note, that's what I want you guys to sing.
Yeah. So it was cool to watch him almost in his element.
Some of those nights can get really dark and artsy and stuff, and they always just had fun with it, and they always picked it up a notch and just went with it. It was really cool.
You'll know this and you'll know when to come in, I think.
Yeah, you'll know. Trust me.
Oh, you'll know.
You should know where to come in.
Oh, you'll know. Ghostbusters!
I don't care what my parents say. I'm gonna do what I want anyway. As long as I have my friends to support me, I'm gonna be who I wanna be. Whoa.
And then flooding the BPs kind of brought it to another level.
Tommy Wood. Jake Hudgens, Sean Kelly, and I smell burnt toast. I smell burnt toast. I do, Zach, I do. And Jason Flood.
Just remember this, my girl, when you look up in the sky, you can see the stars and still not see the light. That's right, 'cause I'm already gone, and I'm
It was awesome to see them perform, and like they just didn't care. Like they were doing their thing, their way, and they didn't care what people thought of it. And I mean, that's Jason in a nutshell.
They just nailed it. They hit all the harmonies. It sounded incredible. I just remember everybody going crazy.
It was kind of the first time we ever played together in a real show. It was a good learning experience, and it was a ton of fun. And so from that moment, we kind of knew this was something special, and we were gonna keep playing together. We were just going practice by practice and seeing how it was going, and getting better and better. And I think the next goal was kind of to see what the next gig could be, and building towards something else, something new.
I'm always impressed with people performing, but I think it's even different when you know them in another light. And Jason's an example of that, of somebody where otherwise, fairly soft-spoken, and he's opinionated and all that, but not like a loud guy. And then he gets up in front of everybody and he's with this band, and man, he's killing it.
was in his place. He was in his happy place, I think.
I think Doug had told Jason we could either do a graduation party for you and do this big thing, or we could get a gig at the Tupelo. And so I think he took that opportunity, told us about it, and we were all really stoked to be able to play at that.
That was great. That was a legit performance.
We had like, I think 12 songs on the playlist, and so it was kind of a bigger set and a bigger deal than we had ever seen before and done before.
It was the first time I really got to see him totally in his element. The whole band had a blast up there. And they actually sounded really good. They sounded way better than I thought they would, I'm not gonna lie. I figured that they would sound good, but I was pretty blown away.
When Jason was talking about it, he was talking about some of the songs that they were thinking about playing, and I had just suggested to him at one point, I said, hey, there's a song, Look What You've Done by Jet. I think you guys could do that. That'd be kind of a neat song. And Jason didn't really even say much about it. He just goes, oh, okay. And then I never heard about it again until the concert, and then they played that song. And I was like, wow, holy cow. They actually, paid attention.
Look what you've done, you made a fool of everyone. Fool of everyone.
Without being up in front, saying so, it was a nice way of saying, hey, I appreciate you or whatever. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but the fact that he even paid attention and did that's pretty cool.
If I could pick a last time to see him, it would be that moment of him I've never seen him as happy as he was performing up on stage in his element, and I'm so thankful I got to see that.
I thought depressed kids were always mopey, always dark, always, couldn't make eye contact, wouldn't hold conversations, would fail their grades, or would reach out for drugs, or have, bad choice in friends. He did none of that.
It was never straight out, talks about depression or things like that, just subtle hints.
Knowing him, you would know that he would have tough days that, he would come over late at night because he wasn't having a good day and he wanted to talk about it or wanted to just get away from it, you know what I mean? Just be distracted, play a game or whatever else.
He started to get mopey, as every teenager does. Some days was more apparent than others. There were a few occasions where he would say, well, what's the point? Why am I doing this? What's the point?
Yeah, the moment for me where I knew it was potentially really serious was when Gabby called me up and had told me about how Jason had made some comments about if he had had a gun there, he could have killed himself, or would have killed himself.
He said, if someone told me to kill myself, I would. And that just literally put a knife in my chest. I was like, whoa, hold on a minute. I knew you were in a good spot, but I didn't realize that you were in that kind of a place. There's a lot to unpack in that kind of a statement.
And he kind of brushed it off a bit, kind of feeling lousy about stuff. But I kind of reiterated in my way that he's got a whole lot of people who care about him, and we need to know, this is not what's going to happen. And he had kind of assured me, no, I wouldn't do that. It was just sort of how I was feeling at the time and whatnot.
And I remember Jason texting me after he got off the phone with Karthus, and all he said was thank you.
And one day Jason did ask and said, I think I need to go talk to somebody.
He came to me crying, hugged me, and Danielle, we talked that night and everyone went to bed, and next morning Danielle got up and she was researching online, through medical insurance and all the doctors we can see and where we can bring them.
We stayed up many a night after that till 2, 3, 4 in the morning talking that just because you feel good today doesn't mean in a week you're going to feel the same way, or in a year or 5 years. You need to learn how to deal with the feelings when they do come up, how to cope with them, how intense they might be.
Yeah, in some ways I thought it was getting better, but it obviously wasn't. He was 18 years old, and yeah, he took his own life. He was texting his girlfriend, making plans for breakfast, and when he stopped answering her questions, she thought he fell asleep. He left us a note, and the note said he'd do the dishes in the morning.
That was the worst morning of my life.
I'd be lying if I said I don't think back on that in terms of why he didn't tell me he was in a tough place come November. I think about that. I think, who knows? We'll never know the answers to things, but part of me does wonder, did he maybe not reach out because the last time he told me he was in a dangerous situation, I got him help? I don't know. We'll never know.
As a family, I think we're all still struggling. It's very different. It's strange to not have him here. It's sometimes sad to know that he didn't get to meet his nephew.
And even together, we're lonely. For me, I definitely would have lost it a long time ago if people didn't come and support. It doesn't fix anything, but it just makes the journey a whole lot less lonely.
It was so surprising, and it was really heartbreaking. There were battles that he was fighting that whole time that we just never really knew about. So.
In 2016, right after Jason had passed, I had started hearing rumblings through Doug and some of Jason's bandmates that this was this idea that they had thought of about having this sort of festival of sorts where a bunch of rock bands play right downtown in Derry, and it'd be pizza-centric, of course, and we'd call it Pizzastock.
Jason and a group of his friends in his first band, Flooding and the BPs, decided they wanted an all-day music festival, and they wanted to have it at McGregor Park with pizza and just play all day long and invite other classmates that may also have bands just to play and get along, share their music, share their skill. And after Jason passed, his bandmates came to Doug and said they needed an adult to help that take off. And Doug jumped right in.
We had no plan. We just showed up with a bunch of stuff and set it up and let it go.
We just basically got together with some of the parents, said, this is our idea, we're gonna get a couple of tables, we're gonna have pizza, we're gonna have the kids play on the stage, we're gonna have water, and see what happens. And that's exactly what happened.
It was the first time I had seen so many different kinds of groups and bands from different genres get together and be able to showcase their stuff in front of a lot of people. It was powerful. It was I think the first time after months later that we were able to rekindle some of that music making in our own group.
We were amazed at the turnout. and all day people we didn't know just came and asked what it was all about.
The first thing I did when I went to Doug Daniel, I said, this is fantastic. This is way bigger than I ever thought this could be.
I don't think I've ever seen something quite like this that gets such a community behind it and such a movement.
And it's playing cornhole all day. It's dying in the hot July sun because it's always the hottest week of the year for whatever reason, but like also not wanting to leave ever.
You don't even necessarily need to love all the music that's being played, but you can just enjoy the fact that this whole town's there listening to people from the town play, and there's games, and it just seems like a fun summer event.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let's get out of here before the noise ordinance comes down on us. Yeah, thank you guys so much, especially people who've been here from the beginning. It's just a special day for everyone. So thank you and good night.
I could tell, and probably, I know Doug could tell as well, that it was something that could be done year after year and would become the, kind of the staple in the community that it has been.
As the years went on, we were able to invite American Foundation for Suicide Prevention to set up a table with information. We invited the Center for Life Management to set up a table. So there was lots of information that could be handed out as people inquired about it. It wasn't something that we were hammering, but it was kind of a silent partner.
One night we were out to dinner and she said, "Jason, I haven't gotten a quote from you." And he said, "Life's easier when you pretend to care." And we were all like, "Oh, Jason, come on."
I didn't get any formal training. We just kind of were in a band, just to be in a band. So I'd eat the microphone. And he's like, "Zach, don't eat the microphone. It's not an ice cream cone." And every time I get on stage, I still think of that. I'm like, all right, you gotta back up because Jason's gonna get pissed.
And then about a month later, he came back up to Carmela and he said, "Can I change my quote?" She goes, "What?" He goes, "I just want to add, but easier isn't always best." And that just kind of struck a chord with me.
I felt like I needed to be a part of what was happening. I did not know where it was going to go, but I knew that as an agency, we needed to be present where kids might be present, where they might be asking for help.
I think about the potential, the exponential potential of this day, and the ability for these young people to go to their groups of friends in their cities and their communities and their schools and make a difference every day in their day-to-day interactions and maybe in a larger, more global way.
I think it was the second Pizzastock that I attended. It was a summer session. There were things on tables like suicide prevention cards and things like that, and you just never know how you're gonna help somebody. And I happened to notice a young woman come over and just take a card and slide it in her backpack, and it was why I knew I was there. I just knew, okay, this is why. Somebody's gonna use that card either for themselves or someone else. So that is why I go back, if one kid takes the card.
Everyone's here for a good time. They're all here for the same reason. And if something's bothering you or bothering a friend or something, there's professionals to talk to, and you can talk to them.
We'll share it. Because if we know it's working, let's not change it out every time. Okay, but everybody else has your own amp, so you'll get a minute, you'll get a chance in a few minutes to set up the amp the way you want it.
I wanted to try to come up with an idea where I could put the kids now on the Tupelo Hall stage. It's the biggest setting in the area. And I went to Scott and asked him if he could help us and what it would take, and how should it be structured, because it couldn't be a music festival like we did outside. It had to be different. And he suggested just set up a battle of the bands, and you could probably have 3 or 4 bands and just go with that.
Scott Hayward was great. He donated the space for us. He was impressed with the kids' professionalism, their talent, and their general respect for him and his equipment.
We structured like his lobby as kind of the charitable part. We set up some tables up there, and that's where we served pizza. He closed his restaurant to it. We used that, and it's really just how it came. We were fortunate enough to be able to do it there twice.
Derry, New Hampshire! How are we doing today?
The normal pizza stocks are about bringing everyone together and working together and teamwork and all the bands sharing equipment and stuff like that. But the Battle of the Bands brings like a sense of collision and like competition.
The first Battle of the Bands is 4th Degree.
One last thing. It says on here, Battle of the Bands champions, and not only does that apply to the winner of today's show, but it applies to Doug and Danielle for being the champions of this cause. Everyone who performs here tonight has signed this, as well as the judges, so I'd like to present that to both of you.
Doug and Danielle are the heart and soul of the Jason R. Flood Memorial and Pizzastock.
This wouldn't be happening without them driving it.
They are the ones leading the charge who make these things happen.
They have a way about them where they're real. They're real human beings. There's no pretense. It's just sort of, hey, this is what we're about. You're awesome. What do you say? I don't know that we can really know what they're feeling on a regular basis, and I know they struggle, which is to be expected. And the fact that they're channeling this into something that is super positive, I think is commendable.
They really are tremendous leaders, and they are making a very real change in this community.
All these kids have been donating so much time to us, and they've never asked for any money, and they just keep coming and playing for our events for us. I wanted to get them paying gigs to try to help them support themselves. So I talked to the owners of Fodi's, who've been absolutely amazing. They have 100% been behind us from the beginning. The kids have had great responses. They bring their own family and friends, but yet there are patrons there that see it and love it. Now, our message is getting to people it would never have gotten to. Usually once everyone hears them, they're like, oh my God, these kids are good.
Our plan for Pizzastock 4 was to have it at the Boys and Girls Club because we had more parking, more outside room for more stages. Doug's plan was to have 3 stages instead of 2, but because of COVID and social gathering, we had to think really quickly.
We saw that live streaming was really connecting with kids, so we decided to make Pizzastock for a live stream event.
Now we're going from an outdoor venue that's pretty small, you know, kind of a small town venue, to a legitimate studio.
Hello and welcome to Pizzastock 4. My name is Connor Kfiachain.
I'm Trevor Glassman.
And we are your hosts for this 4th annual music festival put on by the Jason R. Flood Memorial Fund.
And it's professionally done. It looks incredible.
Well, I'm standing at the crossroads and I'm begging on my knees. Took a walk on the Louisiana, all the way to New Orleans. Well, you know, just for her, I give all my money and time to waste it all the way to my last dime. 'Cause this thing just ain't no hustle, I just can't get away. I don't know if I can go without seeing her. That ain't no lie. That ain't no lie. Yes.
The singer and the drummer are 11. The bass player is either 13 or 14, and the rhythm guitar is 4.
Of course, yeah, that makes sense. Sure.
And they've been a band, I think, for 2 years.
Wow. Since they were in the womb.
I feel a little bit, a little jealous.
We picked the right host. They gave us that Saturday afternoon telethon kind of vibe.
For day two.
Second day. I'm very happy.
I am super happy. How are you digesting that pizza from yesterday?
Pizza's great. I definitely have more room in the tank for these donations, but like I said, if you missed it yesterday, I've been eating one pizza for every $1 donated. And I'm on the track to 1 million pizzas in my stomach by the end of this day.
Live streaming a concert was a brand new experience for me. To play a live stream set in front of a bunch of cameras and almost nobody else in the room, totally different experience. I didn't know what to look at. You know what I mean? I don't know if I look at the cameras, if I look at somebody else. I don't know if I'm supposed to look down. I didn't know what to do. So it was a little bit different, but I'm glad we did it. I'm glad it was a good experience overall. I think it went really smooth.
We did a good job of keeping to the roots of it and talking about mental health awareness and suicide prevention in our shows.
Alliance on Mental Illness, or as some would say for short, NAMI.
1 in 5 people have some kind of mental illness. That's a lot.
Old school teaching was never ask someone if they're thinking about hurting themselves or about their state of mental health. We know asking somebody who's contemplating suicide, they are thinking of hurting themselves, it can be an inroad, a step towards de-escalation.
We were shocked and amazed that people were still following us even though it wasn't a live event.
Between Facebook and YouTube, the 2 days had like 7,000 people view it.
It felt like something I could just go and flip on like the actual television one day and just watch it there, It wasn't something like, oh, I'm gonna watch this because it's Pizzastock. It was like, wow, this is like really well done,
Once again, they exceeded my expectations. They were able to pull something off that, under the circumstances was very difficult.
Just the quality, which is sort of a testament to what this has become.
This is the real deal.
High energy set, man. I loved it. The chemistry between you guys is killer. You can tell that you're professionals.
this has grown. You know, the mission has grown, and then the people involved have grown.
Thank you to everybody who tuned in, who's donated, and will continue to donate. And just remember that you are not alone.
I think Jason would be like really amazed at what Pizzastock has become.
I think he would appreciate it. I think he would have loved the opportunity to be able to play at something like that.
Jason would, he would probably be mad at his dad, first and foremost, because that's how he was with everything that his dad would have done. He would have given him crap for it. But his real emotions and intentions would have been that it was incredible.
I can only imagine it's going to keep getting better.
I'm hoping it's just going to keep growing bigger and bigger and influencing more people, reaching out to more people.
In a matter of a few years, it went from, a few dozen people to 500 or 600. That's massive growth.
In the future, I could see it being regional and maybe even statewide. I don't know that there are limits to it.
It hurts too much to stand by. You gotta stop and draw a line. Everyone here has to choose a side tonight. A moment of truth is haunting you. Don't forget your family, regardless what you choose to do. You can't decide. And they're all screaming, why won't you? I'll start the engine, but I can't take this ride for you. I'll draw your path and I'll load your gun. But I hope so bad that you'll bail and hunt.
I just want to give the biggest thank you ever to Doug for giving us this amazing
Doug and Danielle for thinking of our Boys and Girls
It's an
Club.
intentional gathering of people to remind them that life is precious and that there is hope and there is healing.
And when you wake up, everything is gonna be fine. I guarantee that you'll wake in a better place, in a better time. So you're tired of living, and you feel like you might get it, well done. It's not your time, and even if it was, so I wouldn't let you go. You could run, but I will follow close. Someday you'll say that's it, that's all. But I'll be waiting there with the windows to break your fall. I know that you think that you're on your own, but just know that I'm here and I'll lead you home if you let me. She said forget me, but I can't. I would drive for miles out in the failing light, brave the wind and lightning, and meet you in the night. You are not, you're not alone. Oh, you are not, you're not alone, no. Oh, you are not, you're not alone.